What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of H-Town Takeover, where we are with Mr. Ben Van Leeuwen.
Rohail? Let's go talk about ice cream.
Oh my God, I've been dying for some. Let's get to it.
So our original business plan was to just do ice cream trucks. We thought the brilliant part of the concept was we're gonna do really good ice cream off of trucks. It's an inexpensive model to build out compared to a store, and we can be in places like New York City or LA or Chicago, that was the big vision, and not have to pay rent.
How much did you save up for that?
Save up?
Yeah, to get started.
We had no savings. Literally no savings, just like credit cards, but we raised money. My vision and the goal was to raise $250,000. This was 16 years ago.
Okay.
Well, I was surprised that it was so hard for us to raise money. We didn't even get close to the $250,000. All the money was only $60,000. I was discouraged, but I never gave up.
Bro, and I want to cover this so everyone sees what the struggle is like, but how many people said no to you?
Probably 15, 20. And the wealthiest people I went to all said no. And I thought, maybe foolishly, I thought, well, if this person has 20, 30 million bucks, what do they care? Of course they'll invest. But for whatever reason, those folks weren't interested in investing. They were all really nice, They just said, not right now, it's not a good fit. Our friends ended up investing, smaller amounts, as low as $2,500, $5,000, which is cool because actually they all, not all, but many of our friends still own a tiny piece of the company now because of that. So friends invested. In college, I took an investments course, and that professor of mine ended up being one of our biggest investors.
Really?
Which is really, really cool. Yeah, so and we became really good friends. So that was nice. So he really believed in it. And came in.
You're somebody that went through a lot of perseverance, right? It took you about a year to come up with, raising money. And then by the time you did all that, it's June, it's 80 degrees. Yeah. You have your ice cream truck, you're on Wall Street. Yeah. And you can't find a spot to park. What's going through your mind at that point?
Yeah, and I just want to comment on the perseverance thing. I certainly did, but I'm hesitant to make entrepreneurs heroes and incredible, because everyone has to persevere, even if you're not an entrepreneur and you have a regular job. Personally and professionally, it's hard. But back to the question of day one.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It had taken us 3 months to get a permit for our truck in New York City. I'm remembering now. It was really exciting, and it was June 21st. It was really warm out. And somebody in the truck business had said, you want to go to Wall Street. That's where you'll sell a lot of ice cream. We went to Wall Street and we drove around for 45 minutes and we couldn't park. There was just nowhere to park. So we're okay, I guess this doesn't work. And we had gone really early. We had left at 7 a.m., gotten there at 8, and we wouldn't sell ice cream till 2 or 3, but we wanted to get that spot. So we were in Manhattan and we drove uptown to Canal Street, which is between Chinatown and Soho, and it's a really busy street. I don't know the actual foot traffic rate, but thousands of people walking by every hour.
Extremely busy.
Extremely busy. So we thought, we'll sell ice cream here. We pull over. We have this homemade wooden counter that our brother made us for the truck. We put it in the window. We get our scooped water cup ready and our tasting spoons, and the cash register's ready, and we're so excited. And we sat there for probably an hour, and not a single person came with a truck. And at this point, and this was just a day, right, of struggle, but at this point we're oh man, this was a weird idea. What the hell were we thinking? This fancy ice cream truck, I guess this doesn't work. And then we decided to go into Soho, which on weekdays isn't as busy.
It's a little slower.
Yeah, so we thought, but it's nice. It's really a pretty area. Cobblestone streets, beautiful old buildings, lots of people shopping. And I don't know why or how this happened, but we pulled up on the corner of Green and Prince in front of a Louis Vuitton store across from the Apple store. And literally, before we opened the window, there were 15 people in line. And we're just what is going on? This is awesome. We're so happy. So I think because that environment, and this is more on just the locations, which is more important for brick and mortar because you can't move it. If you were doing something that isn't a utility and that isn't functional, like Home Depot, kind of doesn't matter where they are. If you need to go to Home Depot, you'll go to Home Depot.
Of course.
But if you want to get an ice cream or go to restaurants too, you might seek one out. But ice cream is something that you want to sort of enjoy when you're in a good mood and when you're in a pretty environment. So even though that area had much less foot traffic, it was a much nicer place to be and spend time. So I think that's why it worked.
So you have two other co-founders. One of them is your brother.
Yeah.
And one of them is your friend that you used to be married to.
Yeah.
That's incredible. So,
Yeah.
you know, people usually say, oh, I can't work with friends or family. But you flip the narrative on that. Tell me about your co-founders, how important camaraderie is for y'all.
I love Pete and Laura so much. Pete's my brother, but also like we've been best friends for most of our life. And then Laura, we were married and now are truly best friends, and I mean family too.
Yeah.
So I couldn't imagine doing it in another way. I think because we're so close, I mean for better or worse, like we can be total jerks to each other, but no matter what, like we'll always come back to each other. It's hard though, because there's no filter with someone you're really close to and there's no inhibition, like particularly when we were a smaller company and not as sophisticated in managing a company and delegating responsibilities, there was like a lot of fighting, especially with my brother and I, about silly things, just like, I don't like the way you wrote that email to me. So really stupid stuff that if it wasn't a brother, you'd just sort of let slide or not even think about it, but those things can escalate. I think we're all like good partners because we're super dedicated. I think to grow a food business, you have to be, because the margins in food are extremely tight. So if you like slip, you're screwed, right?
Yeah.
You run out of money.
Yeah. Has there ever been a time where there's been an argument, it's like, all right, I quit, and like you leave or anything like that? Or have there been arguments where it's like, oh, is this in trouble?
No, I mean, there have been huge arguments, but never was like not continuing on.
What do you think the key was to that? Because people get emotional sometimes.
I think it's fear of like not knowing what we'd do if we weren't doing this, not knowing how we'd make a living. For how wealthy we are, America also has like not a great social safety net. Even though I have friends, I have family, I don't think I'd ever be on the streets, knock on wood. But I think we still have that as Americans, that idea of what hitting rock bottom is in our consciousness, and it's scary. And maybe this theory is off, but I think that drives us to want to do really well and build enough financial security to not let that happen. I think the other part of it, the more positive aspect, is like, this is an ice cream business. It's just an ice cream business, right? The most important things in life are friends, family, you know, just your community, people you love. Like, business isn't. With that said, you do grow to love a business and get connected to it. It's not our kid, you know, not our thing with a soul, but it's something that we worked so hard on. So like with every passing year, of course, we could never even consider giving up, no matter how much tension there was or fighting. Yeah. This could be interesting, but one thing I've been talking about or thinking about lately is like, for us, what's made the business work is like when stuff goes wrong, you just figure out how to fix it in a way that you don't have to spend $1 million to fix it. Well, unless you do, and then you figure that out. And I think that's what's allowed us to grow, and I think that's probably what makes most businesses work. For the first 12 years of running this business, we waited for this smooth sailing to start. We had this vision of when we have 5 trucks, it's gonna be easy because we can have a commissary and store the packaging there. Then no, when we have a store, it'll be easy because we can hire someone to help manage the store and trucks and we can afford that. Then it was a store, then it was, well, when we have 3 stores, then we can hire a better manager and they can really help us. And every time we got to that point, it kept getting hard in different ways, right? New challenges would arise. But we were always waiting, you know, for the point, not to not do any work, but for the point where we could just hang out in the stores, talk to people, and do R&D. And then it was weird, like 4 years ago, it just hit us. We were like, oh, that doesn't happen. Like, it's never gonna happen. And that was an incredibly liberating moment when we said, like, shit's hard, running a business is hard, managing a store is hard for Jeremy's over there, and challenges are always going to arise, and that's what the job is, right? If it wasn't that, like, robots could do these jobs, right?
100%.
Just be serve the ice cream, do this, but so that, and maybe what I'm stating now is really obvious to many people, but for us it was this moment where you said, oh yeah, running a business, growing a business, what makes it work is figuring out how to fix shit when it breaks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's...
I don't think that's that well known because everyone has that moment. And I probably had that in my third year of real estate where I was like, oh, okay, once I sell a property like this, I'll be good and I can, you know, invest in a team and have agents underneath me. Oh, when I do that, and guess what? It's never happened.
Yeah.
And I don't think it will.
Yeah.
And so you saying that, believe it or not, is like a liberating moment for me because I'm like, okay, cool. Like now I believe that. And there's so many people that start businesses where they're like, oh, well, I'll be happy when this happens or I'll be good when this moment comes. And guess what? It never happened.
I know a lot of entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs watch this. So if someone had told me that early on, I think I would have been happy early on because I would have been more in the moment and not felt like, okay, once I get here, I'm gonna feel good and not stressed. And it's less stressful if you know that this is just part of it, you know? It's tough.
All right, guys, you guys saw another great founder here on H-Town Takeover. Best ice cream in the world, Mr. Ben Van Leeuwen with Van Leeuwen Ice Cream. Thank you so much for being with us, man.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for your time.
This was fun.
Yeah, man. Good luck to you. Looking forward to seeing you grow more.
Yeah.
Very, very exciting. Can I have some ice cream now?
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
So let's start with the yuzu sake kasu with chunks of matcha cake and a yuzu swirl. Then I'm going to go into the blood orange creamsicle. So this is a milk flavored ice cream that we swirl with a blood orange sorbet. Our most popular winter special is the blue jasmine ice cream.
Oh my God.
Ice cream for you.
I'm honored, sir. I'm not gonna hesitate on this. Oh my gosh. Oh my God.
But that's a vegan flavor you're trying.
This is a vegan
So
flavor.
that's the fermented rice from the sake making process, which has a really deep flavor, and fermented coconut cream as well. So when you're making vegan ice cream, making it rich and creamy is super easy. The challenge is creating that same depth of flavor that dairy has, but we are experimenting with fermentation, and we're really happy with the results on that one.
How long did you have to experiment with the vegan ice cream before you actually had to like put it out?
Like 3 months.
That's not bad.
I did it at home. Yeah.
You did it at home?
Yeah, I did it at home.
Like home living with your parents or like
No, just like in my apartment.
in your
I
apartment?
made like 250 different recipes. No, just happy to have you guys here.
So amazing.
Thanks for coming.
You guys want some ice cream? You guys can put the cameras down now.
Yeah.
Come get some ice cream.